Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Bill Callahan fan club president, Jake Bakoven.
I love Billy.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bob. Hold up.
Welcome to On the Block here on a Wednesday. I'm Jake Bakoven here in Lincoln, and he is Erick Strickland, the Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet. He is out watching some summer league basketball in Vegas. How's your flight been to get there? I know you had some traveling problems, but have you been able to watch any basketball yet, Strick?
Yeah, I did. I got a chance to watch some basketball. Mostly had a lot of meetings, but did get a chance to watch some basketball. The talent is definitely there. Obviously, when you don't have that much time to practice and spend time, that's a part of the problem. You know what I mean? You kind of it makes it difficult, so to speak, to be able to get those guys to gel together. So some of the basketball is not as quality as normally would be, but it's still, guys are getting a chance to showcase themselves. Guys are working their tail off. They're getting a chance to work in front of all the teams, not just a few of the teams that they're actually working with or they're playing for. But they're getting a chance to do a lot of stuff. I got a chance to see a lot of old friends, a lot of old teammates that are now working with organizations. Got a chance to see people that are on coaching staffs that I had an opportunity to spend some time with over the years. Didn't get a chance to talk to Paul, but I did see him. He was doing an interview, Paul Pierce. So I did, Kenny Anderson's here. Some good friends of mine that have spent some time, some of them that have been on the block, and got a chance to see some of them. So it's been cool. It's been good.
Yeah, that is cool. Is there where are they playing? I guess is there a decent environment, or is it a pretty sparse crowd?
Some of the games are pretty good. Like last night, the LA Laker Clipper game was pretty packed. The Mavericks game was pretty solid. A lot of people were at the so they're playing at the Thomas and Mack Center and the Cox Cable Center, which is the men's side and the women's side for UNLV basketball. Actually, I think we had one of our old players transferred actually to UNLV with the women's side. Not Jazz Shelley. Oh, shoot. Who was it? Ashley. Yeah. She actually So it's the women's side and the men's side of the basketball is where they're played. Obviously, the Thomas and Mack Center is quite big. So there's the lower bowl area, has pretty good size of people in it, depending on what game it is. Cox Cable, depending on what game, like the Memphis game, obviously John Morant was in there. So a lot of people, they come and to see because they know kind of who's in town and who's going to be there. So it gives them an opportunity to see some of those players. But that game was pretty packed. That Memphis and I think it was a Celtics game yesterday.
Okay, yeah, because I'm interested too, because there is talks about a Vegas expansion team coming to the NBA, along with what would be the Seattle Supersonics. People are very much heavily in favor of that, but there's been some movement toward that.
I'm tripping. I'm sorry. It was Memphis and Golden State yesterday.
Oh, okay.
That's who it was. Yeah. No, it was Boston and Golden State, and then it was Memphis and I can't remember who they were playing, but that's who it was. But there's so many of them. They're all over the place. I mean, you're going back and forth to each gym, so it's kind of crazy.
Would you like the idea of an NBA if they do expand? I mean, LeBron's going as far as said that he would like to own the Vegas team. I think that would add an additional element to it. But do you think Vegas, now that it's got the Raiders, it's got hockey, Do you think it's moved past that fear of having professional teams, and that the NBA, that would be a good place for the NBA to go?
I mean, they've been preparing for it for some time now. I mean, that's obviously UFC is very strong here. That's why they built T-Mobile Arena right across. One of the hotels I stay at pretty much whenever I come to Vegas is the Park MGM, which is literally right across from T-Mobile Arena. T-Mobile Arena has been prepared for this specific moment. That's why they were playing USA games in there. They do some exhibition games in there. They've been really kind of testing the market to see what type of atmosphere that it will provide for basketball. I think that it's viable. I think that it's a marketplace for it. One of the best things for it was the success of the hockey team, and how when they first came in and had tremendous success. Obviously, you've been seeing what's been going on with football. That hasn't been a good look, but the hockey team has really done well and has provided a place to where that it can thrive. It's a very transient city, so that's the part. I mean, most of the people that are they're gonna be here. That's kind of what the atmosphere is going to get. It's not going to have a real stable base. It's going to be very much reminiscent of like Atlanta, how Atlanta was, right? Because Atlanta was very much a transient city. So it would be crazy because like when I played with the Knicks, whenever we played the Hawks, we would have more fans than the Hawks did in there. It would be like a Knicks game.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I could easily see that happening.
I remember showing up. Yeah, I remember showing up to Atlanta games. There may be 8,000-9,000 people. Obviously, they've gotten better. Trey and some of what they've been able to do over the last few years has helped that. But for the most part, they're really it's difficult when you have a transient city, and that's what it's going to be. But it's going to be when people are in town. They get a lot of people that come into town. Some of them will fly into town just because they may be playing a specific team, so they're going to get those type of crowds that are going to fill up T-Mobile if they get.
And of course, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So, you don't have to tell me here. But have you hit any machines yet? Have you been able to have any time to gamble quite yet?
Nah, man. I like you said, I was literally drained yesterday because of the travel situation, getting into Phoenix, getting stuck there overnight, and then getting in, having to get up and get in the morning and literally go straight into meetings. So nah, man, none of that for me. And some of the guys went and they were hanging out. I think one of the hotels is the Wynn. A lot of it's kind of a player destination over there at the Wynn Hotel. They went over there. I went to bed. Yeah. I normally can do Vegas like the best of them, but I couldn't do it. I was really tired. Yeah,
that's why even having layovers in Vegas. I had one when I went to LA a couple months ago, and it was just awesome because they've got slot machines at the airport.
Right in the airport.
Yeah, all you have to do is land. You don't have to walk anywhere. You could just start playing on the Vegas tables. While we're on the NBA too, I did want to ask you about this. There's been a suggestion. Adam Silver suggested that it might be time for financial incentives based on games played to kind of make up for the rest and all this kind of wave. Of course, it's been about a decade now, or maybe even longer, that guys are sitting out, not playing all the games, just so that they can rest, and it really frustrates the fans. I mean, if you live in Omaha or whatever, your only chance to see LeBron is when he comes to Oklahoma City, and you buy that ticket months in advance, and then he ends up sitting out that game. You're furious. That was your chance. It's difficult to plan around that. Do you think financial incentives? I mean, some people probably would be rubbed the wrong way about that because it's almost gone from you need to get them in line to now you're incentivizing them. Now you're making it because how do you I guess do that for a guy? I just throw anybody like a Josh Hart who is going to play most of the games and not going to sit out for any part of the game. Is he going to get incentives as well for playing more of the game? So it's still kind of a mess, but do you like the idea of incentives for stars to play these regular season games?
I mean, what you're basically showing is what NIL is going to look like, right? You're going to have certain people that are going to win and certain people that are going to lose, and there's going to be a lot of people that don't like it. I really think that they just probably need to work out a system to where they just shorten the games. Where if they're going to do that, shorten the games, stretch the games out, shorten the game, stretch the games out, have the season more compacted, and then make it really makes for the season to be really intensive because you're missing 15 games. Obviously, it's tough to do because of the fact that it's a lot of revenue involved in, especially with TV and stuff like that. The more games, that's kind of why they shorten the time that we used to have in training camp, which used to go for a few weeks. Now it's not barely a week, and it's barely any training at all. I mean, I don't even think they do 2-a-days anymore. We used to do 2-a-days, and it was rough. It's hard for me to see that they can make that happen, but they've got to figure out something. And I think that it's pretty much looking at it from a standpoint of shortening the games, making those games more intensive, because with 80-something games, it makes it different to be able to kind of rest yourself for a few games. You're going to play 4 and 5 times a week. Maybe the people want to only see it a couple times. The European system has generated a really nice fan base following because of the fact that they don't play 4 or 5 times a week. So those, fans really look forward to being getting an opportunity to see their teams play in their Euro leagues and in their natural state leagues or their country leagues that they play. So they play in 2 leagues, most of them at the top tier. They play Euro League, and they also play their country leagues. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer for it, man. I think they've got to figure out something, because right now I don't think that method's going to work for them, because you're right. People do get upset. People get upset when they show up to our arena and their favorite players that they've been following, or the ones that they got jerseys for, or the ones that they expected their kids, like they saved up their money for their kids to be able to come to this specific game, and the freaking player's not playing. That can hurt you, and I don't think they want to continue down that road.
Well, it's crazy too, because we've seen it even for the national TV games, which you would think, like, I don't know how much that factors into your equation as a coach or within the roster to think, okay, well, if we rest this guy here, then maybe we rest this guy there and all that. But that's also a complete dud if you do rest those guys on national TV, and those guys should look forward to it. But maybe, like you said, it's just so much. There's certain teams that probably would and certainly wouldn't sit out, but the teams like the Golden States and the Lakers, that they're on TV all the time. Maybe that just national TV thing doesn't really do much for
them. Look, I wanted to be on. Those were the funnest games, I thought, but
yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it's a different type of generation. I mean, I think also they're playing a lot of basketball now. You've got all these world championships and all these other types of things that they're playing. I think COVID really made it difficult because it shrunk the league. They played in an odd time, and then all of a sudden you're right back in it. I don't even know if their body's still been able to recover from having to go through that cycle of a season where the season was extended. I can't remember exactly when it ended, but it was a quick turnaround, like a month and a half, and you're back into the season again to try to get back on regular track. So, they've got to figure out something. Some of the guys just don't want to be playing that much. I think it's soft. I mean, I think it's soft. I mean, we got out there and played. You know what I mean? We wanted to play. We felt it was intensive. You can see it the way it's kind of translating even now into the All-Star games and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be something that's difficult to try to figure out.
And let me ask you, not just on your experience, but some of your former teammates and stuff, because we've seen this too. A little bit of a talk. I think it was KD was saying was it KD? Somebody was saying they hadn't touched the ball in 3 weeks, or it was Anthony Davis. I think hasn't touched the basketball since the season ended. Trying to get his body back into shape and just take a break. Is that pretty common? That was pretty common for your players?
Yeah. When the season ends, Bach, it's literally I literally go on whatever, depending on the time frame is. I go into a hiatus and I do not go into a gym. I don't touch a ball. I have to refresh. I have to, get my mindset in a place to where I want to be in the gym again. Because if you just continuously go, yeah, you want to do some stuff. Maybe you go in, touch it, shoot some free throws, but you don't want to get back into intensive workouts and stuff like that. I would kind of, position myself to be able to say, okay, about a month and a half, I'll start going and doing running, cardio, doing different things. Going to training places like LA or Vegas, or, a lot of people are going to Miami. Some were going to maybe Houston. There are different places that people would go in order to start their training regimens in order to get good basketball in as well. And it would be a good month and a half where I would get back into intensive training, doing stair work, doing beach and heel work, doing lots of stuff for the conditioning, and then also getting training and skill development work on the court. If you had a trainer, if you had somebody specific that you work with, those are the things you would start picking up a good month and a half out. That was how I did it.
Yeah. And it's interesting to kind of look at the different ways people go about it. And just the fact, when AD said that, people went off on him. They were upset because, it was a disappointing year and he needs to, rebound and be healthy and all that stuff. But you would have to think, like you said, you don't want to get burned out. No matter what you do, if you do it 100% of the time, you just get burned out. And in playing that long of a season, you think it'd be nice to have a break and just to kind of live your normal life without thinking every day about your next game or your last game. I started
taking breaks in all-star games too. Like that little space of time where I used to go to the all-star games. It got to a point where I was like, man, bump that. I'm gonna go to an island somewhere and just relax my mind, get ready for the second half of the season. So yeah, man, that's how it's kind of.
That makes sense. We're going to take a quick break here on the block. We have Strick live out in Vegas for NBA Summer League. I wanted to get, and as you could tell, I've had a few questions for him based on, some of the stuff that's going around in the league and some of his other experiences. I want to reach back to one of his other experiences, that call that he got to enter the Husker Hall of Fame, because 6 former Huskers, including Prince Amukamara, Bryce Pickens, Tony Finoti, all got that call, or maybe I don't know if they get called or whatever, but they got that induction recognition and notice not too long ago, probably this past weekend. So I want to ask Strick kind of what that was all about. We'll do that next here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday, the Mercado serves up the best lunch.
What you doing?
Menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock. Website cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $22.58 per hour. And other select jobs starting at $24.28 per hour, with wages growing up to $30.30 per hour. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium costs to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to Continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered.
Aisha Station.
The best value. Install quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store.
You've been
answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
Okay.
17
All right, Mama. Sounds good.
Family owned and operated.
Well, y'all
Always
have
the
fun.
best value.
Enjoy.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Empire Fence and Netting in Waverly is now hiring for several positions. They're looking for a fence installer for both commercial and residential, for local projects, and ones that require travel. They also have openings for operators, dirt work, welding positions, and applicants with CDLs are very desirable. If you're looking for a locally operated business that provides excellent work for customers and great benefits and care for its employees, email info@empire-fence.com or give them a call at 402-682-7658. Empire Fence and Netting.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa,
Bach, 1, 2.
The lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa,
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Please enjoy these next few moments of relaxation from Scott and Greg at Mendoza Family Insurance. If you would like to feel this relaxed about your home, auto, business, life, or commercial property insurance, please give Scott or Greg a call today at Mendoza Family Insurance.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bachman, back in our studios in Lincoln, and we have Erick Strickland, the Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet in Vegas, watching some summer league action, getting some business done there in the city of Sin as well. But I did want to ask you about that Hall of Fame part, Strick, because we just got announced the other day, on Monday, actually, the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame for 2022 class was announced. 6 former Huskers and a pair of state college standouts were announced, and that they'll be added to the Hall of Fame. Prince Amukamara, of course, a really good cornerback from 2000. He was on those 2009, 2010 teams. A little bit before that, Bruce Pickens from the early 90s, Tony Finotti, another one in there, kind of the notable ones. Very cool, just to kind of reminisce and kind of think about their playing careers. Finotti in particular had a lot of pancakes back in his day. Just
almost
destroying.
400?
Yeah. It was crazy. And he graduated in 2001, but that 2000 line with him and Dominic Raiola, man, that was one of the better pipeline runs of those days. But altogether, I'm not sure if they've, you send them an email, a text, give them a call, or what you do these days to let them know that you're in the Hall of Fame. But you were a member of the Nebraska Basketball Hall of Fame. How did you get that? How did you get that news?
I believe it was an email that was sent out to me. They like to try to reach out to us and try to make sure that they keep our contact information up to date. I don't believe that they had a phone number for me. Sometimes they'll try to reach around in our near circles and try to make contact and do things like that. But I believe someone had made sure that I still had an updated email address. I normally keep an email address that's pretty long standing. So that way it can be a connection there. But yeah, man, that's kind of how I found out. I mean, it's just been amazing. I almost completely forgot about Bruce Pickens and just how wonderful he was and how high of a draft pick going at number 4 to the Atlanta Falcons. Also getting a chance to play alongside of Deion Sanders. I mean, that was a great thing with him in his earlier days. And I just think that the Finoti, I just looking back at some of these names, you know what I mean? Like Rick Lindquist and obviously Prince Amukamara and what he was able to do in when they crossed over to the Big 12. I like the way that they're doing it, man. They're just really just kind of going back. They removed the limitations on what it used to be with just first time all conferences and whether they're all Americans and whatnot. To be able to open it up, because there are guys that make significant contributions to the teams and their success. And I think that it makes it more open and viable to be able to share in the successes that some of those guys had made to the teams.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, too, how you do the Hall of Fame. Obviously, it's different among sports, which sport you are in, because, you got kind of different legacies there and all that. But Nebraska football, it's so stacked. I mean, there's so many all-conference players and, obviously All-Americans and academic All-Americans and standouts and award winners. And usually, those top end guys are going to get noticed, but it's hard to get in the Hall of Fame at Nebraska football. I mean, you could be a 2-time all conference selection and maybe never get that call. So I'm sure for those guys, it's definitely a special moment. When you were, I mean, I kind of explain when you were invited and was it after your playing career, and was it kind of a surprise to you, or was it something that you might expect to get that call someday?
I don't think I necessarily didn't play for that purpose, right? I didn't play for seeking Hall of Fame recognition or anything like that. It was a tremendous honor when it did happen. So I looked at it from that standpoint, that there was recognition for what I was able to leave on the floor, which is I gave everything I had. Whatever I had to give, I left it out there on the floor. And that's what caused me on my senior day when my family came, and it caused me to tear up, because it was something that I knew that no matter what happened the rest of the season or the rest of my life, that I left everything I had there on the court. And I think the same thing for a lot of those individuals that are now crossing over. I think they just gave what they had, and their heart and their passion and their desire to win. They laid it all on the line. And so I think when people look back at, there are people that chase it. They chase it, those individual accolades. But for the most part, if you do so with the team and you have a team mindset, it's just like a cherry on the top of a nice shake that, most times it don't come with it. It's just like a cherry on the top of a nice shake with some whipped cream on top. Of just a basic shake, that you're able to get the wonderful taste of the glory that comes with being honored in that manner.
Somebody off the text line wants to reach back to our previous show. Actually, Nate and I were celebrating National Friday, as in National French Friday, by doing a little bracket of our best fast food French fries. Do you have one off the top of your head? Your favorite French fries that you've ever had? Are you a big French fry guy?
I am. I actually really like Arby's. Arby's have these curly fries that are just off the chain, and I just absolutely love them. I think I go Arby's. I love the waffle fries that come from Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah.
I had always been a McDonald's. I just don't eat McDonald's no more. I just can't do it. I mean, to each his own that loves it, I likes it. Hey. I used to love them. I used to love McDonald's fries when I was coming up, but they dropped on my tier list. But I love Arby's. I love Arby's curly fries. I just think they're off the chain.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I worked at Arby's for a time in my teenage years, so I smelled like Arby's French fries all the time, and that kind of steered me away from liking them too much. But if you don't work there, yeah, you never want to see behind the doors there. Not that it's bad. I mean, it's just the same thing. But I just smelled like French fries too much. I didn't want to eat those French fries. So that's kind of funny. I think we ended up with Runza, which obviously is local. I think we crowned
the crinkly fries from Runza are slamming. Slamming.
Yeah, they've got some pretty good ones too. I also wanted to. You weren't able to join us yesterday. I wanted to get your thoughts kind of on Marquis Stepp entering the transfer portal yesterday. Of course, not expected to be Nebraska's lead back, but part of a pretty good stable. Do you think that this is a significant loss for the Huskers, or just maybe too much competition in that room that somebody was going to be the odd man out?
I mean, Marquis Stepp, when you really look at him, going to USC, not really having it to go the way that he wanted there, carried, for them 45 times for only 100 and something yards and a couple of touchdowns. Had a really good run, 18 carries, 108 against Fordham. Just couldn't break that top 3 in the depth chart, right? And now when you look at it, he's a former 4-star. Notre Dame liked him, ends up going to USC, a rival, and just finds himself in a ultimately stacked running back room led by Anthony Grant and Jacquez Yant. Then you also got the fleet-footed Ramir Johnson and the former starter in Gabe Ervin. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't even, then some of the freshmen that are there, he's got to be looking at the writing on the wall, understanding that not being able to even break the top 3 or 4 at some point. We figured that this would happen, Bach. When we've been talking about it at some point, we knew that there would be some turnover, and it would probably happen. We're starting to see the snowball effect. It would probably happen in the running back room, and another place that it would probably happen is in the wide receiver room. We figured that at some point in this whole thing that's going to end up happening, and I think this is just the start of what's more to come.
Yeah, certainly. And Nebraska seemingly prepared for this too, because I remember they've recruited a little bit over their scholarship limit. So they're planning on some exits too. It's kind of fascinating though, as it leads to a larger discussion about the rushing game and where that is to play in this year's offense. We kind of looked it over. Pittsburgh last year obviously had one of the better offenses in the nation, led by Kenny Pickett, and of course a new offensive coordinator at Nebraska, Mark Whipple. Jordan Addison, the mainstay in that, as the Blitnikoff Award winner, over 1,400 yards there receiving. So heavy passing offense. They finished 77th in the nation in rushing, around 150 yards per game. For what it's worth, they didn't have a 1,000-yard back, but they had basically a stable of 3 backs that did pretty well for them, averaging over 4 yards a carry, each of them. Do you expect to see something kind of similar with this year's Nebraska team, where the running game maybe isn't the mainstay, might kind of fall into the background a little bit? You could see somewhere around a 70, somewhere back there as far as 100, maybe 150 yards rushing per game, that type of goal? Or do you think that, Midwestern Big Ten football, you still got to try to get to that 200 yards rushing per game to win these games?
I think that you're maybe pleasantly surprised, unless the line just can't do it. You'll be pleasantly surprised that I think there'll be great balance in both the running. You've got great backs back there that can do tremendous things with that ball. You've got fleet-footed, shifty guys. You've got one-cut guys. You've got power guys. You've got a lot of different styles that you can throw at any type of defense out there, and you can shift it depending on which defense you're facing. If you have a very stout defense, you may go a lot more with Ramir Johnson, who's going to be able to get out of the backfield, challenge some of those linebackers, and be able to maybe make some plays out there in the open field. You've got guys that are great jump cut, one cut, cut back type of guys, in like AJ and also in Emmett and who else? Who else is back there? Anthony Grant. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are great at that. You know what I mean? And then a guy's just a downhill guy, maybe a one-cut guy. If he breaks through, and Jacquez Yant he's going to be a power guy. So if you're getting a small unit, a very fast unit of defense of fronts where they like to slant a lot and they like to do, and you want to hit it with some power and be able to get some movement up front, then you go with more of a Jacquez Yant. So I think they have an opportunity to do that and be shifty in that manner. And so I think the game plan could change depending on who they're playing, what type of fronts they're playing, so forth and so on. And then it's also going to dictate as to what they do as far as the passing game.
Yeah. I mean, and I wonder if it is the passing game going to kind of open up the running game. I could see that sort of thing. Or like you said, if they have the offense, a lot of it depends on the offensive line. If you have the offensive line with a mean streak, you can go open up the passing game through the running game. So we'll kind of see how it works out. Augie asked off the text line, isn't it typically easier to run block than pass block? I'll let you answer in a second. I would say generally you like to run block more. The offensive linemen like to be on the attack, whereas in pass block, you're the one, sitting back and expected to protect somebody. And I mean, it's kind of rather obvious, but those big, nasty guys, they like to attack more so than protect, I think. But is it easier? I don't know if I'd say easy.
It depends. It depends on what type of fronts that you're dealing with and what type of run game. Whether it's zone blocking, if it's straight downhill, it's trap blocking, whatever it is, it's going to depend because your footwork of your linemen have to be in the speed and whether you're getting downfield, if you're a screen type of team, if they're an attacking defense and you want to drop screens on them, draws on them, you want to do different things like that. And in what way or fashion can your guys sell those type of blocking schemes? That's what you're really going to be looking at. But yes, guys want to get downhill. And if I'm Raiola and I'm the line coach, I'm showing them old film of like, this is what I expect. I expect you, and therefore I want the run game to be able to set it up, because if the run game is active, then guys just can't pull their ears back and come off the edges just like, there's no tomorrow. That's where you get your trouble in, and that's where guys are on their heels and on their their back feet and can get themselves in trouble in the passing game, is when you're behind the chains or whatever the case may be, that guys can just start just rearing their ears back and coming downhill at you. You don't want to be able to have them do that.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out, the offense, and kind of the fact that we don't know too much about it. I mean, we can kind of speculate here and there, but what it exactly looks like, it's going to be fun. And unfortunately, I think that means, the fact that we don't know what it's going to look like might limit how much we get to see of it as media members heading into the season. So that might be a little bit of a drawback, but I'll fall in that sword if it means Nebraska can surprise Northwestern with what they've got going. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, it's your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. It's not easy. Strick is on a 5-game winning streak. We need you to be the hero. You need to come up. Somebody needs to step up and beat Strick in this game. Call right now, 402-464-5685 on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Shootout with Strick is next. First one to call in, 402-464-5685. We'll get that opportunity. That's next here on The Block.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it, a research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $22.58 per hour. And other select jobs is starting at $24.28 per hour. with wages growing up to $30.30 per hour. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Please enjoy these next few moments of relaxation from Scott and Greg at Mendoza Family Insurance. If you would like to feel this relaxed about your home, auto, business, life, or commercial property insurance, please give Scott or Greg a call today at Mendoza Family Insurance.
Pillar Restaurant Group is proud to announce the full opening of our brick-and-mortar venue-at-home store, Lincoln's new premier specialty grocers. This store is home to our brand new Butchery by Venue. Get the finest Nebraska steaks, hand-cut in-house by our butcher, prepared for our restaurants, and available for you to take home. With hand-selected specialty seafood, charcuterie, wine, bourbon, and liquor options. Come in today to see what we have to offer at 70th and Pioneers in the Pioneer Woods Shopping Center. Open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday.
Mike Shaver here for Trek CBD. Summer is here, and that means you're having garage parties with neighbors, hitting the golf course and the pool. The drink of this summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs, 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD at 84th and Andermatt and TrekCBD.com. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We'll see that summertime heat build in a bit further here for our Wednesday as we see an afternoon high of 92, south winds at around 10 to 20. Mainly clear tonight, the low dropping down to around 72, and the heat builds in even more for your Thursday. Highs tomorrow up to around 96. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It is time now for Shootout with Strick here on 93.7 The Ticket. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. All you have to do is beat Strick in a shootout. It's a little game show we got together. 5 questions, 4 either or choices, and then 5 the money ball, an open-ended question to see if you can get the win. Strick has been on a roll lately, winning each of his last 5 games, and when he wins, everybody wins, or at least somebody wins. Caller number 3 actually gets to call in and win the $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings, but we need somebody to take Strick down. He's been just too darn good recently, and that's why we've recruited, we've been scouting, and we found Cole out there. Cole, are you ready to try to take Strick down on this 5-game winning streaks he's got?
Well, I beat Sipple earlier this week, so I'm hoping I can take Strick down.
Hey, there you go. That'd be quite a week for Cole. Like I said, we scouted. We knew this Cole guy is no joke here. So, Strick, are you ready to roll?
Flawless victory.
He's making it. You're pointing out to the outfield. You're like hitting your home run already. Today's topic is fast food locations. So the first locations of each of these fast foods is where we'll go. We'll go in 3, 2, and 1. McDonald's first location, was it California or Nevada, Strick?
Say it again.
McDonald's first location, California or Nevada?
California.
That is correct. Pizza Hut's first location, Wyoming or Kansas?
Kansas.
That's correct. Wendy's first locations, Colorado or Ohio?
Ohio.
That is correct. Taco Bell's first location, California or Arizona?
Arizona.
It's California. This fried chicken chain started in Georgia and is closed on Sundays. Who is it?
Chick-fil-A.
That is Chick-fil-A. You just missed one. 5 points total for the 5-game winner here, Strick, as he looks to push it to 6 games. That is a heck of a score. But Cole,
yeah,
he's ready to roll. Cole, you know all about fast foods and their original locations, right?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. But at least you can guess here. We'll go in 3, 2, and 1. Cole, Burger King's first location, South Carolina or Florida?
South Carolina.
It's actually Florida. Sonic's first location, Oklahoma or Utah?
There you go.
Sonic's first location, Oklahoma or Utah?
Utah.
It's actually Oklahoma. Five Guys first locations, Kentucky or Virginia?
Virginia.
That is correct. Dairy Queen's first location, Michigan or Illinois?
Michigan.
It's actually Illinois. And this popular Mexican fast food started in California is known for their Baja Blast. Who are they?
Taco Bell.
It is Taco Bell, so a very good score of 3 points. Not going to quite do it today. Cole Strick did get to 5 points. He's not going easy on you. But thanks for calling in. And my voice cracked there. Thanks for calling in. And don't give up hope. Hang up now because caller number 3, including Cole, goes home with the chicken. 402-464-5685. You want $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings on behalf of your now 6-game winner, Strick. Call in right now. 402-464-5685 as Strick moves on to 6 games.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
There you go, Strick. Let me play a little of your song here. I know you like to. I mean, you probably deserve this every time now that you keep continuing to get more wins. Unfortunately, because you're on location, we can't play it while you speak too much. So we'll just vibe to it a little. 6 in a row, man. Somebody's gonna have to take him down. We'll see if we can get it done. Let me pause that. Strick, do you have any parting words for your victory here?
No, listen. I got off to a bad start. I had to go quick, so I had to run it off, man. I didn't hear the first one, so yeah, no, it's all luck, man. I'm not great at this.
You're not gonna brag about it too much.
But he's on fire.
Yeah, you definitely are on fire, and you've been doing well. I'm gonna write it up there. See, it's going to be hard. You're almost going to be playing against yourself at some point because I'm going to write however many wins you get in a row. Then you're going to have to try to top that eventually. And that's going to be difficult down the line. Strick, are you a big fan of full moons? Tonight is supposed to be a full moon and a super moon, which as far as my understanding means that it's just very, closer in its orbit to Earth than at any other stage. Do you kind of get into that? Do you ever go outside stargazing?
No.
I
used to have one of those.
Like a telescope?
I used to have one of those telescopes.
Yeah.
That I used to have sitting out my window, and I would kind of look up there and see what's going on, and kind of tap in real close to the moon and see what's popping, see if people's jumping around up there.
Yeah. Nothing. It never changes is the problem. I mean, I guess you can see a shooting star from time to time, or maybe some type of satellite if you're lucky. Of course, I used to just go UFO watching, and I believed, at least I got into my own head as a kid, or maybe I saw something.
Or thought I saw something.
There you go. Yeah, I thought I saw something out there. I think I've seen a UFO before, but it was probably just a satellite or something. I probably didn't know what I was seeing. But full moon tonight. And again, a super moon, so it's going to be very big. I think in Lincoln, or what I've been reading at least, around 9:30 is might be the time to go out and look at the moon tonight. I've set my alarm because I usually miss these things. I'm not sure why. Do you remember the eclipse? Did you watch that like years ago?
I did see the eclipse, and
That was cool.
you got to get this. I mean, I think now you can do a lot of that stuff because they give you like glasses and stuff like that because obviously you don't want to be looking directly into that stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought those are always pretty cool. I actually got to see Halley's Comet too. I thought that was pretty dope.
Oh yeah, that is pretty.
When that was cracking. Yeah, Halley's Comet, got to see kind of how that was making its way through the skies. That was pretty cool.
Would you be interested in going to outer space? They've now got
Negative.
No, you're not interested. You're not
Negative.
interested.
Not in any fashion. No SpaceX. No getting into it. Nah, I'll leave those to the astronauts. They do what they do, and they do it well. Stricky is negative on a space trip. Now, if I had to, because what they're doing now, they're showing a lot of these types of movies where stuff is going haywire with the country, bombs or whatever the case may be, all these things, and it's like we have to leave. Resources are short.
Yeah.
Now, if that was the case, hibernation and all that stuff, yeah, I'll jump in and take my chance. But other than that, no.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird. They're planning on at least taking people up toward the moon. I don't know if they're getting on it or they're just going around it at this point. But eventually, I know some of the mad scientists, I suppose is what I'll call them these days, want to be able to have people living up there.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like, and don't give me, this is kind of weird, but it'd be kind of like living in like Alaska, I suppose, but if it were in Hawaii, right? Like Hawaii is great, and I love Honolulu. It's magnificent. But if you live in Hawaii, you can't like travel anywhere for like the weekend. You're in Hawaii. I mean, you can go to this certain islands and that can be fun and all, but it's not like if you're in Vegas and you want to go to Phoenix or to Los Angeles or something. If you're in Hawaii, you're in Hawaii. Otherwise, you're like 14 hours away. At the moon, obviously, the same thing. What if I get tired of being on the moon after 3 weeks? What am I going to do? Can't go visit. Can't drive up to anywhere else.
Go to a different crater.
I guess, yeah. I don't know if you'd see a whole lot more.
You go from Cratok Town to Crater Town, and then down the street to whatever another name is, Mars or Us, and then I don't know. These are crazy names, I guess.
Different establishments out there. Also, the other thing is the time zones. I mean, I don't even know what time college football games would be on. Halfway during the night, I suppose. I don't really know how that would work out, I guess.
Yeah, how would streaming work there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You can get a pretty good satellite, you would think. But anyways, the moon's going to be big tonight, so you should go look at it. That's probably about as scientific as I can get on the matter. We'll take a quick break, though, here on the block. Once again, Strick is live out in Vegas as he is doing some business as well as watching some basketball there for NBA Summer League. I'm back here in Lincoln, and we'll talk many different things, including the Big 12 Pac-12 merger. Looks like it's more of a possibility every day. Wouldn't have the brands to compete with the Big 10, but interestingly enough, they might be able to compete with the Big 10 on the field. We'll talk about that next year on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Football season will be here before you know it, and you can get ahead of everyone else with the first annual Evening with the Huskers event at Tavern 180 and Tanner's Bar and Grill. Join 93.7 The Ticket and Husker Online's Sean Callahan for an evening with current Nebraska football players and surprise guests as they preview the season ahead. Enjoy cocktail hour and a delicious Wagyu steak dinner, as well as an open bar for the duration of the event, all for just $199 per person. Click the logo for the event at theticketfm.com to sign up. Don't delay, this will fill up fast. Don't miss your chance to meet and greet with Husker football players at Tanner's Bar and Grill and Tavern 180 in Lincoln at 30th and Yankee Hill. Sign up today at theticketfm.com using the Evening with the Huskers banner. It's an evening with the Huskers to preview the 2022 Nebraska football season at Tavern 180 and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Presented by Husker Online and 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We'll see that summertime heat build in a bit further here for our Wednesday as we see an afternoon high of 92. South winds at around 10 to 20. Mainly clear tonight. A low dropping down to around 72. And the heat builds in even more for your Thursday. Highs tomorrow up to around 96. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Pillar Restaurant Group is proud to announce the full opening of our brick-and-mortar venue-at-home store, Lincoln's new premier specialty grocers. This store is home to our brand new Butchery by Venue. Get the finest Nebraska steaks, hand-cut in-house by our butcher, prepared for our restaurants, and available for you to take home. With hand-selected specialty seafood, charcuterie, wine, bourbon, and liquor options. Come in today to see what we have to offer at 70th and Pioneers in the Pioneer Woods Shopping Center. Open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday.
Registration is now open for all fall sports leagues through Lincoln Parks and Rec. Adult volleyball, kickball, softball, and youth NFL flag football. Competitive and recreational leagues are available, so whether you're an athlete, a former athlete, or a wannabe athlete, there's a league for you. Plus, check out their paid opportunities for officials and referees. Contact Lincoln Parks and Rec to learn more, or head to teamsideline.com/LincolnNE before July 24th to register your team. That's teamsideline.com/LincolnNE. There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it, a research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at healthresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Ortega connoisseur, Jake Bakoven.
I like Ortega, and I like pepper.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach.
We're back on the block. E. Strick here. And my partner, Jake Bakoven, on the block with Strick and Bach, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. I am in Vegas. My partner is back in studio in Lincoln, but we have been talking quite a bit about the Hall of Fame inductees. We had some great discussion as well about what's going on out here in the Summer League. We also talked a little bit about the transfer portal and Marquis Stepp jumping in it. But now we're going to talk a little bit about the super conferences that are starting to emerge. There's been a lot of super conferences that are starting to take place. You have the Big Ten that is expanding its reach with UCLA and USC jumping into the Big Ten. You also have the SEC expanding and looking to do more down there, taking on some wonderful teams as well. But at this point, we're trying to figure out what's going on with the others, and the others being the Pac-12 as well as the Big 12, and what they're going to do as the ACC finds itself looking around trying to figure out how to get involved as well. So, Bach, how do you feel that a Big 12 and a potential Pac-10 merger with the loss of the additions, with the loss of the UCLA and USC brands to the Pac-12, how do you think that the Pac-12 can still hold up? Do they need a merger? Do they need a super merger? Or do you even think they can compete even with the teams that are still left over? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's interesting as we kind of follow along, and we knew probably, these giant shifts don't happen back to back usually, right? I mean, something could come in place, and this UCLA USC one that kind of shocked everybody a few weeks ago, you kind of thought, well, maybe something will happen quick. And we saw when Nebraska left, it did go pretty quick. I mean, Colorado and Missouri and Texas A&M were all fairly quick to jumping brands right after that. So it can start a domino effect, but it feels like as the Big Ten awaits for Notre Dame's answer and the SEC hasn't made a move on the ACC teams, it feels like maybe there is some hope at the end, some light at the end of the tunnel of not having two major conferences, not having two super conferences, I should say, in the Big Ten and the SEC completely taking over. Maybe there can still be some life out there for the ACC, some room for the Big 12 and the Pac-12 to merge together and create their own super conference of 16 teams. But, they'll never have the brands that the Big 12, or excuse me, the Big 10 and the SEC would have. So they're not going to get the TV contract. They're not going to get the revenue. And therefore, they would probably always be a little bit worried about poaching, right? About the Big 10 or the SEC trying to take it a step further. And so to me, it almost seems inevitable that at some point you're going to have the two biggest super conferences continue to grow and maybe continue to pick off those brands. But there is some hope out there now that Oregon and Washington, who is kind of the teams that stood out and said, hey, we're ready for the Big Ten too. As soon as the Big Ten's ready for us, then the Big Ten says, well, we're waiting on Notre Dame. Maybe there's some hope for them to stick around or unite with these Big 12 teams. And from there, when you think about, again, you're not going to get the money that the Big Ten has. You're not going to get the TV deal. But when you look at on the field, you look at the new Big 12 and the Pac-12, if they merge, or just the Big 12 in general, the final rankings last year, Cincinnati, who's going to join the Big 12, was 4th. Baylor was 5th. Oklahoma State at 7. If this merger does indeed happen, Utah at 12, Houston, new Big 12 team at 17, new Big 12 team BYU at 19. You have Oregon, who's probably the best brand of all at 22nd because they didn't finish their season very well. But you have a lot of teams that are competing right now and could compete with some of the best teams in the Big Ten. Like I say, generally the SEC is probably in a league of its own. It's got, different teams now in the 3 last national championships, the Floridas and the Auburns and, the teams that have been around that have done it in recent years as well. And they've got a lot of depth there, and they've got the super brands and the super names and stuff like that that's going to help them get those TV contracts too. So I personally, people call me Paul Feinbach, I suppose, because they think I support the SEC. I support the Big Ten more than the SEC. I do love SEC football because I love college football in general, but I do support the Big Ten more than the SEC. But I understand that just not only they separate themselves to me. The Big Ten separates themselves with the brands and the TV deals. The SEC separates themselves with the play on the field and the brands and the TV deals. So I think
and the championships,
right? And the championships. This new merger on the field, this idea could put the Pac-12, Big 12, whatever conference they call it from there, the Big Pac, on an equal playing field on the field with the Big Ten in my mind.
Based on the numbers, based on the production, based on what they've been able to do, you're okay with that.
Yeah, if they can, and I don't know, are they going to get Oregon and Washington? Those teams, by the way, again, Oregon barely in the top 25, Washington not in it. Those are the big brands, but again, there's a big difference.
You got Utah. Utah's football has actually been pretty successful over the last 3 years.
Yeah, Utah, Oklahoma State, Baylor. Like you said, Houston and BYU seem to be
emerging. Cincinnati.
Yeah. So I mean, all those teams. That's again, that's blow for blow with what the Big Ten's throwing into the top 25.
I think where you differentiate now is because when you look down the scale and you look at the payouts for those conferences, and then you're starting to deal with. So I'm definitely hearing what you're saying. As of prior or pre NIL Wild Wild West, I can understand kind of how you've come to that solution and how you can see it as on the field. But now, if you're looking at new TV deals, 2024 is pretty much the marker for all of this, really jumping off both sides of that, the SEC as well as the Big Ten. I think then you've got to look at it from a standpoint of, yes, we understand that the universities as a whole doesn't necessarily put forth into the NIL situation, but you've got to look at it from a standpoint of there's more money to do more things, and then the support behind it is going to try to live up to the amount of money that they're able to get. And if there's no restrictions and the NCAA is basically a barking chihuahua, then you've got to figure that they're going to figure out a way to interject some of that money into the deal. So therefore, I think NIL is changing the landscape and is going to make these super conference teams as a whole across the board more dominating, because there's going to be more players that are going to want to interject themselves into that competition, because they're going to be vying for championships and high, level TV games that are going to be able to show and prove for their families and friends wherever they're coming from. Whereas on the other hand, they're gonna have to try to compete in lower markets, which is going to be those smaller conference mergers. That I think that, and I'm just speculating.
Yeah, and that certainly could be the case. I think that overall, if you're a Big Ten team, you like the sound of that. You want that's where your benefit is. But I think too, with this NIL world, we kind of get this idea that just all the rich teams are going to dominate. USC and Texas and Nebraska and Tennessee and Miami, they've all had these advantages for years, yet they're not finishing at the top. And now it might be a step further with NIL, and that's hopefully going to close the gap if you're Nebraska or if you're one of those teams. But that's what's so fun about college sports is, as much as they try to make it sound like it's on an even playing field, it never has been, and certainly hasn't been with the amount of money that's been in it the last couple of decades. And yet you still have teams rise up, rise above, and teams fail to do so, fail to live up to the expectation. I think that will continue into the NIL world and into the super conference world. But, the other thing too is when you consider the big pack, right, this new merger, they've got all these teams in there. The ACC is feeling like they might stay intact too, partially because of their TV deals and things going like that until like 2035. So it might be a long-term expansion type of idea if you're kind of thinking of poaching teams from the ACC. But I've seen, I think the North Carolina AD came out and said the other day that there should be more momentum behind the ACC kind of sticking together. Again, they don't have all the brands. They don't have, quite the big, they're kind of like the Pac-12 or the Big 12 was, where you just kind of got 2 or 3. And if those teams leave, you're in trouble. But if they can hold on to Notre Dame, and the Big Ten really wants Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's locked in on that deal too at this moment. As long as they can hold on to Notre Dame, I think the ACC stays viable. But you're always just a move away. You're always a step away from Clemson or Florida State, Miami, whoever going over to the SEC. But as far as on the field goes there, it's somewhat hit or miss at times. Clemson obviously stands out amongst that group. It's hard to buy into Wake Forest and Pitt and North Carolina State. Even when they were the top teams in the ACC, it's hard to respect that level. So they're maybe coming off a bit of a down year in that aspect. And Florida State and Miami's been down forever. And without the brands going strong, it's hard to believe in the ACC quite as much. So we'll kind of see that. I think that's a little bit more interesting because in my mind, that big pack, the Big 12, Pac-12 merger, that collection of teams overall, I mean, depth-wise is a little bit more to work with than what the ACC's got.
the thing also I think is going to be what really happens this year. This year, I think, is going to lay the groundwork and the foundation as to how this is all going to play itself out. What type of success they have this year. A lot of expectations are falling down in Miami and in not necessarily Florida State, but definitely Miami. The expectation is very high in Clemson. DJ Unguguli must do something to get them out of the doldrums right now, because their brand is at stake as well. So you've got a lot of those brands that are at stake. I think that's going to be a key element as to seeing how this all pans out. What is Oregon going to look like? Where is Washington going to fall? How is the Pac-12 and how well is USC going to do? And what type of season UCLA is going to have? I think all of these things are going to be real stapletons as to what's going to happen going forward as these mergers begin to take place.
Yeah, it's really kind of, as much as we hate the change, and some people do, some people are embracing it, college football is going to look quite different. It makes for this kind of this gap that we have from, this season, the next few seasons. And who knows? I mean, there's still, lawyers trying to do their job to get Texas and Oklahoma out a little bit earlier. And we'll kind of see how it works out. But the next few seasons is the last of college football as we know it. And it will be interesting to see if those teams that are expected to take that jump in the NIL era, the Texases, the Miamis, Nebraska's kind of halfway in between there. In my mind, Florida State and Nebraska probably have coaches that are on the hottest seats possible. So it's kind of hard, just timing wise, to say that they're jumping up in the NIL era. But of course, Nebraska did. I mean, they had one of the best transfer groups in the nation, top 7 ranking, and O'Shawn Matthews, you hate to speculate on how much NIL had to do with it. When you think of a place like Nebraska, who has deep pockets and just the situation that they're in, it might be hard to get the 7th ranked, transfer class without that. So they're in an interesting position. But to your point, all these teams that are just kind of in the middle, hoping to make this big change, there's going to be a close eye on them. And that's what's fascinating too, is which brand looks hot. Like last year when we were talking about this, it's like, is Iowa State going to be left out? But they've got a top 10 team. All of a sudden, Iowa State drops off. They lose, obviously, Breece Hall and Brock Purdy, and they didn't have a great season. And now they're kind of in the background, and you're not thinking about them quite as much anymore. And so maybe they could be a team that's left out. But if you're like a team like Utah's got a lot more run now that they're Pac-12 champions. So the way that these things kind of play out in the next few years could have long-term implications on if these conferences start grabbing, and they're trying to grab for competitive teams right now instead of program stability long-term and, market size and what you're going to get back as money and all that. It sometimes you would think that it would be hard to overlook all that other stuff, but it seems to be in play to a degree. So it is fascinating to see what happens with those teams, those teams of note. Like Miami's made that big hire. They've got big NIL money. And Oregon, how do they respond? Oregon's the national brand we're talking about. They bring in Dan Lanning, but there's first-time head coach. There's no sure thing there either.
Being that this is the case, though, Buck, I mean, you said something, and I definitely want to get on this, is right now as we look at it, with all that's going on in the football landscape, Scott Frost finds himself as the number 1 job on the hot seat ranking. How do you think that's going to play out, being that they finished 3-9? They really don't have no excuses now, because you've put together one of the best transfer teams, but you still have to deal with the element of transfers and how they're going to pan out, and if they're going to work out, and what the quarterback's going to look like, and who's going to come forth and shine bright when the lights turn on. You've got all these things still yet to be known and seen. So being that he's on the hot seat, how do you think it's going to ultimately pan out, honestly? Because I know you've got him basically at a 6-6. I've got them at a 6-6. I think I went 7-5. I think I kind of went up a step. You're still kind of playing the fence line. But do you think he gets off the hot seat this year?
Well, for what it's worth, I think 6-6 is maybe
And Nate's not in the building, is he? First of all, because Nate right now might walk in the door and start jumping on you right now if you keep.
You're right. He is. Maybe I don't see him back there. But for what it's worth, I know I get called out for fence sitting. He's got his eyes on me. He's letting me know. When I was getting called out for fence sitting, I think 6-6 is the most interesting outcome of all, where it still puts you smack dab in the middle of, hey, they finally made a bowl game. It's the best record they have, and also this isn't going to do it. This isn't enough. So I think that's incredibly interesting. And with the weaker schedule, a lot of change, I could definitely see it happening. Maybe before the summer's up, I'll lean one way or the other just to appease you guys. But I honestly think that that's about the expectation that I can have until I see better. This is year 5. I've seen a lot of problems within the program, and then a lot of things that have gotten better, and they got close last year. But I'll continue to say it. I don't think there's too many games, and I think it's fair at this point, where I've been overwhelmed by coaching. I think there's a lot of games, 5-20 and 1-score losses, and whether that's fair or not, because Scott Frost puts them in that position, he gets them to where they're playing close games, whether it's against Northwestern or whether it's against Oklahoma. But in any case, when you lose so many close games, it's easy for fans or people sitting back on their couch to sit back and say, these are 1 or 2 coaching adjustments that could have been made, should have been made to get those wins. So I still kind of live in that arena where I don't know if I trust this team to be the most well prepared. I don't know if I trust it to be the best that it could be. I think that's overall. I think last year's roster, and it's gone to prove that in the NFL draft and all that, was better than the outcome that they got. And there's really no arguing that. You could your own eye test would tell you that based on the games they played, without too much of and I know I like Mark Whipple. I like all the changes that they made, but there's still that guy at the top that makes me wondering if this is ever going to turn the corner. I certainly could see him getting another year, getting to 7 or 8 wins, and then having just enough promise to say this whole new attempt is worth it, or worth another go. That's probably would be my best guess about how it goes, but I don't know if that's great long term for Nebraska to kind of sit in this seat of have we taken that step forward, have we not? Certainly it's better than the position we've been in the last few years, which is no, we have not made the step forward. But I think that there's a real potential for that kind of situation to be playing out as we head into, the latter parts of the season, getting close to that Iowa game, is thinking, is this enough? Maybe we've seen something. This is better than 3-9, but is this enough? I think that's where Nebraska fans will be.
It's gonna be tough, and so in essence, to me, as I listen to you, it's looking as if you don't have any faith in the coaching up abilities of what the new coaches, because they were 3-9 and on the verge of having a 10-2 season, or a 9-3 season. They were like literally on the verge of a complete opposite of what this 3-9 ended up being. So you're more so, if I'm hearing you correctly, for our listeners, and we're talking about Scott Frost being on the hot seat right now as the number 1 guy on the hot seat list of coaches to fall short this year. Here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. That's where it is. The Sauter Heyman text line is always open. If you think Bach is speaking blasphemous conversations and talk right now in our discussion, 402-464-5685, you can tap in and hit back right now at him, as Nate is probably waiting in the wings to do as well. But no, so basically, if I'm hearing you correctly, you don't have faith in the CEO. You don't have faith in him leading the charge of whatever, or allowing those in the room to do what they're supposed to do and coaching those guys up to be the best that they can be in order to have a turnaround season.
No, I don't have complete faith in it, and it's because I've heard, off-season hope and movement in the right direction before. And you do have to credit Coach Frost and his staff for that, whether it be the current staff or the past staff. is that we always said Mike Riley won the offseason, or, certain guys, they win the offseason, but then they don't win on the field. I don't think Scott Frost gets enough credit for winning the offseason. I think that he's always been able to fill the holes in the depth chart with something that makes you go, hey, this could be the answer. This could be the where it turns. But ultimately, when you look back at Scott Frost regime, again, I go to a lot of close losses, a lot of undisciplined play, a lot of bad, sloppy special teams, points at the end of the year where they're not even trying on kick returns to get a spark in their offense. And then, of course, the one common denominator, the commonality, I suppose, of all of it that has changed this year is Adrian's no longer here. And I know people don't want to talk about it but I mean, that's what's been. That's been, tied to Scott Frost's hip in this whole discussion is Adrian Martinez has kind of been the same thing and the focal point of the offense. Now you change that. I do believe that gives you a chance to change some things. But do I think special teams is magically going to turn around and look great when it's looked pretty bad for the majority of this time? Do I think they're all of a sudden going to be a very disciplined team? Maybe, but even if they do so, I'm not sure how much of that I would credit to Coach Frost. Being in the CEO role, he's ultimately going to get credit. Being paid the most money, he's ultimately going to get the credit, and that's where it has to go to. But I'm almost kind of thinking at this point, if that offense looks, remarkably better, or at least, you're down on the penalties and they're just a lot more disciplined team, is that not more on Whipple and Raiola and all the new coaches that they brought in, and not so much on Frost? That could be something you have to kind of determine too if you're the athletic director thinking moving forward.
Again, Sutter Heyman text line is open at 402-464-5685. We definitely would love to hear from you. We're going to have to take a break right now. Again, I'm in Vegas, and my partner Jake is there in Lincoln. 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block. You are tuning in right here at 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Join the app. Hit us also on YouTube and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you can find out what's going on the block every day from 4 to 6. Right here. We'll be right back and talk a little bit more, a couple other things, maybe still kind of tap into this subject, but we also got some stuff to talk about Tiger Woods, golfer, phenomenon. Superstar.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
Registration is now open for all fall sports leagues through Lincoln Parks and Rec. Adult volleyball, kickball, softball, and youth NFL flag football. Competitive and recreational leagues are available, so whether you're an athlete, a former athlete, or a wannabe athlete, there's a league for you. Plus, check out their paid opportunities for officials and referees. Contact Lincoln Parks and Rec to learn more, or head to teamsideline.com/LincolnNE before July 24th to register your team. That's teamsideline.com/LincolnNE.
Mike Shaver here for Trek CBD. Summer is here, and that means you're having garage parties with neighbors, hitting the golf course and the pool. The drink of this summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs, 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD at 84th and Andermatt and TrekCBD.com. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
Empire Fence and Netting in Waverly is now hiring for several positions. They're looking for a fence installer for both commercial and residential, for local projects, and ones that require travel. They also have openings for operators, dirt work, welding positions, and applicants with CDLs are very desirable. If you're looking for a locally operated business that provides excellent work for customers and great benefits and care for its employees, email info@empire-fence.com or give them a call at 402-682-7658. Empire Fence and Netting.
The weather in Nebraska is unpredictable every day, and that's no fun when you're trying to golf. Double Eagle Golf in West Lincoln is now open to let you play in perfect indoor conditions daily. Double Eagle Golf has 5 simulator bays to hit in, by far the most in Lincoln, and has a fully stocked bar with beers and cocktails for you to enjoy while you play. Double Eagle Golf is open each weekday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., so you can start the day there, take a client over lunch, or end the night with friends. Check out Double Eagle Golf today inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Pillar Restaurant Group is proud to announce the full opening of our brick-and-mortar Venue at Home store, Lincoln's new premier specialty grocers. This store is home to our brand new Butchery by Venue. Get the finest Nebraska steaks, hand-cut in-house by our butcher, prepared for our restaurants, and available for you to take home. With hand-selected specialty seafood, charcuterie, wine, bourbon, and liquor options. Come in today to see what we have to offer at 70th and Pioneers in the Pioneer Woods Shopping Center. Open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday.
Problem gambling can destroy an individual's finances, relationships, physical, and mental health. If you are a loved one or struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it. A research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
We stand on the shoulders of women who came before us.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn.
Join us. Visit WeSaySaveIt.org and take control of your financial future by saving for retirement.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back on the block. E. Strick here. Jake Bakoven. You are on the block with Strick and Bach. 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Every day, 4 to 7. Lots to talk about. Lots going on. It's hot. It's smoking out here in Vegas, but I'm still here, and I'm standing on the block, and I ain't leaving. So when we think about what's going on, Bach, we've got a lot of news out there, a lot of talk going on out there. Your boy Tiger Woods is speaking up. He ain't been finishing many of his tournaments, but at this point, he's finding a little bit of beef, and he's finding himself in the news talking about the LIV tournament that's been sparking debate all across the land with regards to the money that they're paying out and all of the spark and generation of a lot of golfers that are kind of making their way out there. Tiger basically says LIV golfers have turned their backs on what actually made them, which is actually the PGA and their tournament. The 15-time major winner, I said in quote that with CNN, I think that they've done, I think that what they've done is that they've turned their backs on what has allowed them to get to this position and the position that they're in. And so, a lot of people are upset because what the U.S. intelligence reports state that the leader of Saudi Arabia, who is obviously funding and backloading with their public investment fund, the PIF, through Saudi Arabia. It's bin Salman, that they state that he is responsible for approving an operation that led to the death in 2018 and the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. So obviously bin Salman denied that he was involved in that, but there's where a lot of individuals are talking about and basically leading leaders like Tiger Woods to speak out about it. The PIF has awarded or pledged an award of $250 million in total prize money. So is this the right thing that leaders like Tiger Woods are starting to speak out? Is it just that he doesn't want to see the purity of the game that he's built up over as well as a leader, and they've basically got on his back and he's carried the load for quite a while. But now in his absence, this kind of left a little void. You've had emerging golfers that have kind of propped their heads up in over the last few years. There's been some turnover. Guys have kind of come up, went down, found their ways back to the top. And it hasn't been no consistency at the top as it had when he dominated for such a long time. And the rivalries of Phil Mickelson and him and Ernie Els and the likes of them over the course of time. So what's your thought about his comments on LIV?
Well, it's certainly interesting. If you haven't been following it, Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, just a few of the golf professionals that have went over to the LIV Golf Tour, and they've the PGA has been battling this as much as you would expect them to. It's kind of a threat to the quality of their tour as well, and kind of competition. The production value of it so far is not very good, but in any case, there is, like you said, I mean, there's some moral questions you have to go over if you're going to kind of deal with Saudi Arabian money. United States government does the WWE for what it does, for what it's worth, has their big shows over there, and there's just a lot of money to be had, but you have to kind of question yourself about where that money came from and why it's there, and if you want to take part in that. But the other part of that is if I just find it easy for a Tiger Woods. Not that these other guys are having trouble making their mortgage payments. They might be. Some, even if you're very wealthy, sometimes you buy too big of a house. But in any case, I just kind of find it a little bit easier for a billionaire and Tiger Woods, who has just become a billionaire, to criticize these other guys who are taking a lot more money in this tour than they are in the PGA Tour. To me, that's, again, if you want to have questions about morally about where that money came from or where, how it's getting to you, that's one thing. But usually in open competition, more money is going to draw some guys in. So I can't have a problem with it. And then the other problem, I think, with the argument on behalf of the PGA Tour is that they're not, the PGA Tour is not some all-encompassing tour or golf league that maybe sometimes we think it is. When you look a little bit more into it, the Masters and the majors and the European Tour, all these things are kind of like separate ordeals that kind of lead into the world rankings or whatever. But it's more like boxing, I suppose, where you have all these different title belts from different people throwing it out there, rather than the NFL, where it's all under one shield. So it is. I don't know if I could criticize guys taking this money, and the way that you see it too. It's, I mean, if you've seen on Twitter or on social media, even the plane rides they have over there. I mean, these guys are being treated like royalty and having and just kind of living their best life over there. So it would be hard to turn out, I think, for a lot of those kind of medium golfers, right, where you can kind of step your name up and certainly step up your pocketbook.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, as you stated, because it's easy for the person with the biggest bag to be able to judge and prejudge and talk about it. And I understand the politics of it as well. But one of the things that I found interesting is that the PGA still has and holds a major financial endowment that they haven't released, or they could have released, or they could have increased. But now with the competition, it is basically made it a must for them to start releasing some of that endowment money to put it into purses in certain tournaments all throughout the PGA Tour. because the competition right now the gauntlet has been laid down by Liv. So either you're going to step up or guys are going to start turning their eyes towards playing elsewhere. I think for such a long time, I think they've been asking and they've been trying and prodding and poking for more prize money in it, because it can get tough. If you're a guy at the bottom tier of the PGA, without sponsors, you don't make it. To be able to travel and to be able to play and to be able to practice and to be able to do all the things that is required of you with your equipment and all the different elements of the golfing game that people don't see and understand behind the scenes, to be able to pay your caddies, to be able to do, not everybody is able to fly private plane. I mean, your top tier guys probably do, but so you have to look at all of that in the short turnarounds and in the travel regimen, as well as trying to get practice times in. Man, it can get tough if you're not at that top tier. And I understand the grind, and I understand the requirements that are needed in order to be successful in the PGA Tour. But some of those guys could be looking for a little bit more stability, and that's why they may be wanting to bounce over there. Sauter Heyman text line is open again at 402-464-5685. You can also reach out on the Honda Lincoln hotline if you want to jump into the discussion at 402-464-5685. You are on the block. And we thank the Mercado for continuously being our supporter here. The Mercado by Piedmontese, certified Piedmontese, located there on 84th and Havelock. You can always go out there. They've got a wonderful dining system, but you got to call in. You got to get in early, because you're looking at 2, 3, 4 weeks out before you can get up there and eat a good meal. Or you can go in there and grab it personally, like I do, and grab some steaks and chops and all kinds of wonderful food there, located at 84th and Havelock. The Mercado by certified Piedmontese. Anyway, back on it. So Jake, it's tough, man. Let's just be honest. It's a tough time, tough world in sports as a whole. So could you fault them by wanting to jump over there and look at more security?
I can't. I personally don't, but there is more to kind of think about too. It doesn't seem to be giving off the best look. I guess for traditionalists as well as anybody that has a problem with Saudi Arabian money, and that's hurting. Like we saw yesterday, Bryson DeChambeau, I think, has lost his Bridgestone sponsorship over him going over to the Live Tour. It can hurt you in sponsorship. So when you're trying to make more of a purse, playing, and winning the tournament or whatever, you might lose a little bit more of your sponsorship. So that's something you're going to have to dive into. It's not just the PGA Tour that's wondering about changing their rules and allowing some of these guys back into their tour. It's the British Open. They're kind of thinking about changing their inter rules. So it's a lot of frustration and I get it. It just kind of comes down to what you're willing to accept, how much you want to kind of look into where this money is coming from, and how, where you stand politically, I suppose, and with that sort of stuff. But I guess to me, I don't personally have a problem with it. I don't think that I understand that it's a threat to the PGA Tour as far as competition goes and all that, but I also don't think that they should be shutting the doors for those guys to come back, because that really makes you question the future of golf and what you're watching. In the PGA Tour, I want to believe that I'm watching the best golfers in the world give it a go. I don't want to think, well, 7 of them aren't allowed back in because they went over to the Live Tour and that's where they are now. So I wouldn't mind. I would just like to see more of an acceptance as far as welcoming those guys back over to the PGA Tour.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we don't have the answers here. We can only speculate and talk about it. You can do the same, again, on 402-464-5685 on the Sauter Heyman text line. I don't know if I'm not on it. I can't see it, but if Bach has some interesting things, he'll obviously let us know what you're saying there. We'd love to hear from you. We always love for you to jump on there. We thank you to our Facebook listeners. We thank you to our streamers that tap in on all platforms that we have, whether it be Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube and Spotify. So we thank all you guys that are also streaming and tapping in there as well, and our listeners on the radio station at 93.7 The Ticket, those that are also on the app. So one last thing, we got to take a break, but we got one last segment that we're going to be able to come back in, maybe a little bit of NBA talk. Utah, they won today, but is there another big bag waiting on them if they're able to move Donovan Mitchell, or is he going to stay? Is he going to be the mainstay or not? We're going to maybe touch a little bit about that on the way out the door as well. Also, Harrison Ford hit a milestone, 80 years old. The legendary Harrison Ford. You remember him.
Oh, yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. All of them good movies that he's done. He's reached a milestone. We'll come back right after this and finish up the segment here on The Block, 93.7 theticketfm.com.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. It's soul food right here in Lincoln. Ribs, wings, catfish, coleslaw, cornbread, grits. I mean, I'd say it's food like your grandma used to make, but my grandma never made food like that. If you haven't already, you've got to give it a try. Check out their location across from South Point at 27th and Pine Lake, or find their food truck at events all over town, or visit them online at maryellens.com to see the full menu. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Let them fix you a plate.
Please enjoy these next few moments of relaxation from Scott and Greg at Mendoza Family Insurance. If you would like to feel this relaxed about your home, auto, business, life, or commercial property insurance, please give Scott or Greg a call today at Mendoza Family Insurance.
Problem gambling can destroy an individual's finances, relationships, physical, and mental health. If you are a loved one or struggling with addiction, contact Choices Center's 24-hour helpline. 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake.
And now, poetry from the world of Yum.
You need a treat, but not something predictable. Cookies, cupcakes, apple pie, it's all boringly typical. So here's a little rule of thumb. Take that income, avoid the humdrum, and get yourself to the world of Yum. The cakes are made for any celebration, every cause of elation, alongside every occasion. So get in your car. You would be remiss not to take that drive down to Beatrice.
Check out Grandma's Fruit Cake and all the delicious desserts at Beatrice Bakery. Welcome to our world of Yum.
Empire Fence and Netting in Waverly is now hiring for several positions. They're looking for a fence installer for both commercial and residential, for local projects, and ones that require travel. They also have openings for operators, dirt work, welding positions, and applicants with CDLs are very desirable. If you're looking for a locally operated business that provides excellent work for customers and great benefits and care for its employees, email info@empire-fence.com or give them a call at 402-682-7658. Empire Fence and Netting.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get, and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC, sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Get a lot of advice about self-care these days, but one of the most important self-care steps we can take is making sure we're financially secure later in life. For small steps you can take to save for retirement, visit WeSaySaveIt.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are wrapping up things here on the block on a Wednesday. Another fantastic day of sports radio for you. And of course, before we get out, I don't think we mentioned Adrian Martinez's name. We've got to at least mention him once every time. Somewhat joking there, but he did speak today at Big 12 Media Days, saying that he loves Nebraska. He didn't want to say that it was time to reflect on his Nebraska career quite yet. Obviously, he's still got one more year to go at Kansas State. But he says that he loves Nebraska. It's his alma mater, and hopefully he says, I didn't burn that bridge. I don't think I did. And, some people may get frustrated about something he says here or there about Kansas State maybe having a more talented roster or whatever he said over the offseason that's kind of rubbed a few people the wrong way. But I would go ahead and think that if Adrian Martinez, 2 years, 3 years down the line, returned to Memorial Stadium, he'd get pretty close to a standing ovation, or at least a round of claps from most of the crowd who understands that maybe he wasn't the most successful quarterback here, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. It wasn't for a lack of giving it his all. He got injured quite a bit. He stuck around maybe when others wouldn't. So I will continue to cheer for Adrian Martinez at Kansas State and hope that he does well. But it is kind of like that thing with your ex-girlfriend or, your ex, whatever it may be, where you do hope they do well and you wish the best for them, but not better than you. I mean, there's a line to this. I mean, you still got to do a little bit better.
That's absolutely true, man. Yeah, look, that's the best way to say it, man. I think the girlfriend analogy is the best thing to say it. You want them to succeed, you want them to have success, but you definitely don't want them to have as much as you.
Right. Which I thought was funny when you say, I wish you the best, because we all know you mean not the best, but I get that you mean pretty good, and that's pretty good and all too. So maybe we'll have a little bit more coming out of Big 12 Media Days with Adrian, but I think that was probably the Nebraska centric type of quote that we're going to get out of it, but you never know. People are probably always going to ask Adrian about Nebraska. That seems the way to go. Before we get out of here, though, I did want to kind of think about Donovan Mitchell, who is reportedly now on the trade block with Utah. Of course, they got rid of Rudy Gobert, took all of Minnesota's draft picks in order to do so. And I think between the two, it's kind of interesting. Who would you think is a hotter commodity? Because I think if you're looking to build a team, Donovan Mitchell might be that guy that you would want. Maybe not as your number one, but certainly as a number 2 or 3, where Rudy is a lob guy. I mean, one of the best defensive players in the league, absolute rim protector. But, it's an offensive league. So you kind of wonder if both of them, if you would have asked me before, if both of them are on the trade block, I think Donovan gets you the biggest package. But it's going to be hard for trader Danny Ainge now over there at Utah to get that sort of package twice, wouldn't you think? I mean, I know he's Danny Ainge. I know that he can absolutely fleece people on these trades, but I mean, if they get another 5-6 draft picks on Donovan Mitchell, they're going to be about as loaded with draft picks as the Thunder, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think you've got to look at it from a standpoint of the marketability, because you've got to look at where they're coming from and where they're going to. Like I said, Minnesota is not a destination city. So in order to acquire what they wanted, they have to build assets, which they do build when they release like Wiggins and when they release, top tier players like your over the past years, like your Stephon Marbury's. So when they have those top players, which they're going to get from the draft, depending on where they normally slide, they felt like they just found themselves in that kind of San Antonio place where they were in, but just out. And there was a reason why they were out. and it was defense. And Big Cat is not your rim protector. He's a stretcher guy. They were looking for more of a defensive presence, and they felt that Rudy Gobert was going to give them that, and to be able to send the assets that they had. He was there with the money. He was going to be a long-time Stapleton, and that's what they're looking for. Now, Donovan, he may end up going to a better team, which is not going to have as many assets, which you're just not going to be able to unload to them. They're going to try to get the best that they can get. They may just want to try to make him happy. They don't want to, they may just send him in. The only way you benefit from a Donovan Mitchell situation is you're going to send him to a doldrum type location. But why would the doldrum type location want to give up something and take on that salary, which he mostly just recently signed, I think, within the last 2 years? And then you're not really any better in getting to the playoffs unless you know he's going to get you there as he did with the Utah Jazz, unless you know that. So otherwise, you're going to be in rebuild mode. And you got to say, is he that guy that's going to be a part of your rebuild that's going to be able to get you over the hump? And that's the decision that most of these people are going to be making.
And do you think when you look at his market value, do you think that, because some people are saying, well, he's not a number one. I'm not going to, I wouldn't give up the farm because he's not a number one. Do you think that that's fair? I mean, he's one of the all-time leaders as far as points per game in the playoffs go. Understanding he's not probably a top 10 player altogether, but when the playoffs are on, he turns it on. The other thing is, if you're going to use like the Utah Jazz against him for being a number one, he had Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley, and they had a really good team as far as, filling the roster out with Bogdanovich and Joe Ingles and of course the sixth man of the year a couple of years ago. So I mean they've got some guys out there, and they had a pretty good roster, but I don't know if they were ever like, you never gave him a running mate that was truly like another top 20 players to say. And so maybe there is still some room out there for Donovan Mitchell to be your number one if you're going to be competitive. Do you think so?
I think he's a little higher than Wiggins. I think, like, for example, I think he could be a Wiggins type. He comes over and becomes a number two for somebody and be a dominant number two. I don't know where that is right now. You know what I'm saying? Because there's teams either in rebuild, and that's kind of that mid level. And there's teams in rebuild, and there's teams looking to go to another level. And I would have seen him maybe going to New York. I think he would have been a better option than Jalen Brunson. I can see him going there, but does New York have assets in order to remove it? I don't see him going to Brooklyn. I don't think that would make sense for him. Because they've already unloaded their assets and they're looking for assets. I just don't see where he goes. You know what I'm saying? When I look at the whole landscape of everything, I don't see where he goes other than to Sacramento, maybe go up there and become that second guy with Damian Lillard. But do they have assets to take that on? I don't think they do. When they just signed Damian Lillard to where they signed him to. So it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things that it's a nightmare. It's probably going to take a 3-team trade in order to get it done. I just don't see where it goes.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's hard to pick out a team or a destination to see where that, how does a trade fit in there. So that's certainly going to be interesting to look forward to as the NBA offseason still rolling here in the summer, as it usually does. Keep in mind, Kevin Durant still on the trade block. Kyrie Irving could be traded any day. So we still could have some major moves in the NBA offseason before we're all said and done. And maybe before you're all said and done there in Vegas. Once again, Strick down there watching some Summer League, getting some business done in Vegas for the week. So we'll catch up with him again tomorrow and kind of see maybe if anything's turned around, if you get a chance to watch some of those guys tonight. But that'll wrap it up for myself and Strick on the block. Ticket weeknights coming up next. Harrison Arns will take over right before Riffin' with Raph tonight. Have a good night.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese